First question is from Mike Triplett. Mike?
Hey, Demario. I want to ask you about Malcolm Jenkins. I know you've worked closely with him in the Players Coalition. Did you know him at all before that? And what has impressed you about how dedicated he is to all the things?
Well, yeah, I've worked with Malcolm on several things since I came in the league. Being a part of NFLPA together, being a part of the coalition together, a little bit after it was formed. So we've had an opportunity to work together in several spaces. Always been able to respect his game from afar. So having him in the locker room has just been wonderful. We've already linked up on a couple of ideas and projects that we want to get involved in off the field. It's been great having his leadership and his experience on the field. You can just already tell just in some of the conversations we're able to have after plays about what we saw and able to see the things the same way. So when you got guys that have experience, it doesn't matter when they come from other teams. They've seen so many of the same set, same formation, same type of plays, and know how to look at the game from a format standpoint, or looking at some of the different formations, tendencies, concepts, and just having a understanding of it that you can kind of have conversations that you can't necessarily have with young guys right off the bat.
Next question from John DeShazer. JD?
Demario, we heard Alvin kind of gushing about your study habits and your ability to kind of call things out for an opposing offense. When did you know how vital studying was going to be for you, and how much more of it do you do now than when you were younger?
I was fortunate to come in with some great coaches and some great players. I was drafted by Rex Ryan, and him and Dennis Thurman, taught me a lot about breaking down film and understanding opponents. But I also had the opportunity to play with great guys like David Harris, Antonio Cromartie, Darrell Revis. And so watching those guys, that was something even when I was a young guy that I wanted to grow in my game and my study habits. I knew it would help me become a better player. And then fortunately, in my third season, I had the opportunity to play with Ed Reed, and we formed a relationship, not just on the field, but off the field. So in the off season, I was able to spend a lot of off seasons with him, picking his brain on how he studied for opponents, and learn how to look at formations, tendencies, read quarterbacks, read alignment, and that just helped me continue to grow in my study habits. And that's something I take so serious that I don't even think now that I've even begun to break through the cusp of what I can learn. I was even picking his brain a lot this off season and just taking a deeper dive into how he studied tape, and I think it's just helped me tremendously.
How much of a day for you can it consume?
It's different. Right now, of course, it's training camp, so it's not as much study as it is just individual techniques. I'm not really studying our offense. I'm just looking at myself and things and areas I can grow in, and still trying to perfect my game and my craft. And as you get into the season, the different teams take different amounts of study. It's all about just getting to a point where you feel comfortable.
Next question is from Catherine Terrell.
Hey, Demario, I have two questions. I was wondering, first of all, were they giving you a breather at all today? It seems like they're subbing in other linebackers a lot.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Hey, I was wondering, were they giving you a lighter snap count today? It seems like they're subbing in other linebackers a lot.
Oh, no, I mean, our coaches, they do the rotation, how they want to. Of course, we got 80 guys right now, so,
Right.
They rotate. That's on the coaches.
My other question was just how has Zach Bond been able to handle dropping into coverage, and are there any certain things you've worked with him on to try to help him along?
Yeah, I think when you have young guys come in that you want to see and have the ability to contribute early on, it's about trying to keep the game simple for him. He has a lot to be able to try to diagnose. It's a lot asked about linebackers here. But what I try to help him is, just keeping the game real simple. Some areas that he has to focus on a little bit more than others. It's not necessarily about grabbing the whole playbook. It's just understanding, what's the one role that they're asking you to come in and play right now, and locking in on that and keeping the game simple. So for young guys, if they can keep the game small their first year and then their second year grow it a little bit more, their third year grow, that's how you prevent from stunting their growth. You see, young guys like Chauncey Gardner or C.D. Deuce have good success because he was able to keep the game small and simple in his first year, and now he's able to expand his mind and grow. And so I think if Zach can do that, and some of our younger guys can do that, they'll have that same amount of success.
Next question is from Brooke Kirchhoffer.
Hey, Demario, to piggyback off of what JD was saying, we talked to Michael Hodges this offseason, and he described you as an intentional learner, and you take an approach just as good as anybody. I'm curious what's your relationship like with him, and what are some of those areas that you talked about that you are heading into the season wanting to focus on?
Oh, man, Hodges is great. We've had a great relationship and a great bond. It was almost instantaneous when I first came. Especially I think we know some of the same people. He knows really good with my linebacker coach, the head coach in Indiana, Tom Allen. And so we were able to connect like right off the bat. And even on game days, Coach Nolan was in the booth, and so Hodge was down on the sideline. So we got a chance to form a really great relationship. And he just, he's focused on pulling the greatness out of all of us. And so even this offseason, just giving me things that I could work on, areas where he's seen that I could grow in a lot. That's always important. You want coaches who know how to coach you hard, challenge you, that know how to motivate you and bring the best out of you. And I think he has all that. And so he's been a phenomenal coach to work with.
Next question is from Amy Just.
Hey, Demario. My question is about Alex Anzalone. What's it like getting him back after, he's been, gone for quite a while?
Yeah, I think Alex brings a lot to our defense. I think that the sky is the limit for him. When you see a linebacker with his skill set, he has speed, he has size, he has agility, he can cover, he can blitz. He's really smart, not just in the classroom, but, football IQ. And, looking forward to him being able to have, a full season to be able to put it all on display and, just really show his value. I remember when I first got here, he was somebody that caught my attention because of his athleticism and his football intellect. And I just think, when he's able to show all that he has and his skill set on a high level, I think a lot of people will be raving about him.
Questions from John DeShazer.
Hey, Demario, you mentioned the aquatics part of conditioning that you added this off season with the water workouts. I just wanted to know if they were working out, conditioning-wise, the way you felt like they were going to pay off in practice.
Yeah, I kind of liken it to getting a new car, getting a new Ferrari, and you're just really ready to test drive it. And so, in practice, you're only able to do so much. But let's just say, I'm excited to take the new wheels on the spin.
Next question is from Mike Triplett.
Hey, Demario, I just wanted to follow up on Malcolm. He describes himself, funny enough, as a natural introvert, but what impresses you about his personality when it comes to organizing and leading the charge with so many of the dynamic personalities involved in that Players Coalition?
Yeah, I think him and Q do a good job as being the founders and kind of the leading voices in the coalition. You have a lot of alpha males in that group, especially on the task force, and so all of us are very opinionated and have very strong personalities, and so being able to balance those dynamics isn't necessarily easy, and I think they do a good job of that, and it's just a good collective group that I enjoy working alongside.
Okay, last question is from Catherine Terrell. Kat?
Hey, I just wanted to expand on something you mentioned earlier. When you said linebackers have a lot of responsibilities in this defense, could you give an example of maybe how that responsibility you might have in this defense that's different from previous stuff?
Do you just mean in general, like linebackers versus other positions?
Just how, maybe like the Saints would differ in what they're asking of their linebackers than another defense you've played in, if that makes sense. So I was just wondering if it's any different than your other stops.
No, I don't know if it's necessarily different. Linebackers traditionally on all defenses are, especially inside backers, are kind of your quarterback of your defense. So not only from the time that the offense breaks the huddle do they have to get the defense lined up. So they usually have to give a communication to let them know what side they're set on. Then they have to give the coverage a side, what side they're supposed to roll down to, or what side the blitz is coming from, and if the safeties are involved or the nickel is involved. So the linebackers have to communicate that. And then if an adjustment happens, like a receiver goes in motion or a tight end shifts or they create a new formation, it's typically on the inside linebackers to tell the whole defense what type of adjustment is being made. And so just having to understand that from a linebacking concept or standpoint is just a little bit more that's asked of other positions. So you have to be in tune to the whole, not only your whole defense, but also everything that the offense is doing at all times.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I just didn't know if you were just speaking generally as a linebacker or just that it's different. Thank you.
Yeah, it's different. It's generally the same. And so what's hard about it is as you go from team to team, it could be the same communication that you're making, but the words could be different. And so for a linebacker, most times it's just learning those new words.
Hey, I think we're all set. Thanks, Demario.
Hey, thank you guys. You guys be blessed.
Thank you.